Mm.
Oh, God, fuck you. Joe, good morning. Joseph.
Oh,
Wonderful
well,
good morning, Joe. It's a new
uh,
episode of Unresolved Dependencies. Wakey,
oh, is it?
wakey.
Oh, I thought this was just a dream.
Yes.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
it's better than a dream. It's unresolved dependencies.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a bit tired today. Do you want to know why I'm tired?
Tell me, of course, why are you tired?
It is 7 a.m. UK time here, and I stupidly agreed to do training for a client in Australia time zone, which means I've had to be up at midnight and between 1 and 5 a.m. in the morning. So I'm a little bit behind on my sleep. I need my sleep to function.
But literally, you already have your working day behind you now. But you have a
This is
new
it.
UK working day in front of you.
This is the dilemma. Do I power on through, or do I go straight back to bed after this? This is the dilemma.
So,
But the
my personal
podcast,
opinion, as not as your health coach, I would say go to sleep.
I think I might
Sleep
do,
is super
but
important.
but the podcast has to continue. This is kind of mandatory.
Yeah.
We have to do it.
Yeah.
So
Well, honestly,
anyway, how are you doing? How are you doing today? Anyway,
we're recording that early because you can't do it tomorrow. So, so it's
yeah, it's
also
a
a
me.
little bit
It's
your
again,
fault.
it's a me problem. It's always a me problem. So I'll
Because what
happily
are
accept
you
that.
doing tomorrow?
Well, we'll find out in a few moments when we do a radio
Oh,
feature with
but
Joe's
you're
Travels.
traveling, right? So
I'm
you,
traveling. I am
yes.
traveling. I mean, this is a stupid question, of course. You just assume that I'm going to be traveling, and you're probably going to be correct. Yeah. So
Yes. So it's somewhat your fault.
exactly. But yeah, speaking of Joe's travels, let's kick that off. So yeah, last time we did I guess again, the inbox has been absolutely smashed full with responses. People find this feature so popular. So if you were playing and you just didn't have the time to email in, why not? Just email in. The answer was Lübeck. I was in the lovely city
Lübeck.
of Lübeck,
Why?
and it was for work, of course.
Work.
But a shout out to Bjorn, who gave me a great tip. He saw I was there. He said, "Okay, you need to go and check out the marzipan. Lübeck is actually famous for marzipan." So
Oh,
I stocked up on quite a bit of very tasty, lovely marzipan.
are you a marzipan fan?
I like anything that's got chocolate, sugar in. Maybe if I had some sugar now, I'd be like
That would be a good start on the day, right? Very
exactly.
calories healthy. But yeah, why I'm surprised a British guy likes marzipan. So yeah.
Exactly. If it's got sugar in, I'm there probably. So yeah. So that was the answer from last time. So if you are interested in getting involved, then let us know on the email hello@unresolveddependencies.com. Let us know on the socials. We'll give you a nice little shout out. And there's also some vague promises eventually of some kind of merch. So as mentioned, I'm traveling again. So where am I going to be next? The clue this time is I'm going to a city that is famous for a tea-related celebration, and where a famous radio psychiatrist used to go to a bar where everyone knew his name. Where am I talking about?
So you didn't say pub. Therefore, so a bar and tea and England does not go well together.
Yeah,
So
but you
you would
kind of
have
get in.
said
You're on
pub.
the right thought. You're on the right thought pattern though.
Mm,
So, but yeah, have a think
mhm.
yourself. Let us know in
Very
via email
interesting.
hello@unresolveddependencies.com. We'll be glad to hear from you, and yeah, we'll give you a nice little shout out. Why not?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very curious where you're going.
Yeah, so it should be good. But you know what goes really well with beverages at parties? Food. And
Food.
particularly Sebastian's eats. So tell me,
It's
Sebastian,
eat.
what have you been eating? I need to know what you're eating. It's essential information for me.
It's especially essential if you start your day and you want to just figure out what happens today and what you want to eat.
Yeah, I'm on my Maslow needs of hierarchy. I'm sort of like sleep, food, drink. Tell me
like
what you're eating now. I need to know. Yes.
I'm paralyzed of decisions at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically. So this time, basically it was curry. It
Ooh.
was so rice, chicken, curry, vegetables, and it was made by my girlfriend. Very, very nice of her. So
Very
the
nice.
only it was the only issue was that I didn't snap a picture for Instagram. So my food blocking style or my food blocking skills kind of vanishing since it is a much more summertime here. But yeah,
So it was so nice that you were
it
so
was so
consumed
nice.
with
I
how
was like,
amazing it was that if you got to take a picture. There you go.
I directly stuck my head into it. No, but it was very nice. The fun part is because I'm a, how to say this nicely, privileged asshole. I had a chance as well to travel to India sometimes in the past. So the curry was made with Indian curry, which was super spicy. And I'm not that spicy eater. But luckily, my late run to the nearest supermarket saved us a little bit here, because then we could as well put on different spices, because all the curry related spices I had at home were like straight out of India. So instead of like still burning and getting flamed by the meat, it was very, very delicious. So very nice curry.
My best tip, if you for spicy food, get some yogurt, some sort of normal plain white yogurt,
Yeah,
and that'll
yogurt,
that
milk,
would sort it out in no time.
quark. Speaking
Quark.
of quark, shoot out to the best breakfast on the earth, which is quark, berries, and some oats and some milk. Best breakfast on earth.
Yeah, get a bit
I
of
don't
fruit
argue
there
about
and
this. I'm
all that
eating
stuff
this
is good.
since 10 years every day.
It's like good food for like weight training, would you say? Or
I mean,
do
yeah,
you
so
do a protein?
so especially like the fat-free quark has some proteins, but also with the berries and so on, it's quite nice. Oats, anyways, is there as well proteins source, and as well I don't know what the word is. It's Ballaststoffe. So it's good for your diet in general, and yeah, then you can just add whatever you like to. For example, I add some whey protein powder just for the taste, so just a scoop of it, maybe 1.5. And
Yeah, spoil yourself. Why not? You know.
yeah, well, actually, it just helps me to get to the proteins which I need to consume a day much more quicker, and I'm more free of choice during the day in terms of what I eat. Therefore, I tend to have a very heavy protein meal in the morning, and then as well like it's nice because it just saturates you for like half of the day, so you don't get any hunger randomly at 10:30 a day. So super nice.
See, that's my problem. I think I eat. It's my own, but again, it's my own fault. I eat too much carbs, and carbs then make you growly hungry. So, and my stomach is very, very audible. I'll literally be sat there, and it'll just be like making like, like
Roar.
growling,
I'm
and
a whale.
literally, and I'm just having to say, sorry, it's not my fault. It's my stomach. And just making clear, it is my stomach making that noise. Just make that clear first of all. So, yeah, it's definitely it's good to have something. I think porridge can be quite good in the morning, just to give you that
Yeah.
base. You need a base to make you last until like lunch or whatever. So
What is surprisingly not that good in the morning is sugar. So-
yeah, that I ate too much. I ate too much sugar. You know, I need to. I slightly. I did quite well with the diet last year. I need to get back into more of a nicer thing. But yeah, summer is always quite tricky with what's happening and things like
Yeah.
that. I find.
Yeah, especially like, as well with traveling, to be honest. Traveling is
Mm.
for me like the hardest part, because
Mm.
so a lot of countries don't have quark at their hotel breakfast, for example. And I also don't want to rely on these like 50 grams of protein milkshake drinks you can buy in supermarkets, for example, in the US. So I'm not a big fan of that. But I also don't want to bring like I don't know, my supplements to every place I go. So that's always traveling is always a bit tough. So you need to be very keep attention on it, and then you often go for dinner or something like that, and it destroys your whole diet very often. So that's like
I had
the hardest part for me, because I'm not a picky eater. I could eat like the same things like whole day, whole week, whole month. It's for me, this is like not a big problem. I literally eat the same breakfast since 10 years, and I have not an issue with that.
I had a great tip from, and yeah, well worth a follow on YouTube, Damien Bird, just lots of really amazing content. So yeah, his trick is the Huel meal packs. You can sort of just boil it with some hot water, and then you get like a nice little curry thing. And yeah, particularly if you're managing your diet and set off by things like gluten or other things which are, because you don't want to be that awkward person, like around the dinner table, just like, yeah, can I? Is it gluten free? Have you got the celiac option? Have you got a pescatarian option? You don't want to be. You feel like you don't want to be that person sometimes, particularly in
just be the awkward person that brings his chicken and rice to like every occasion, and just eat it from your tuber box.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows you. Like, it's the chicken and rice guy. Chicken rice. Yep, there we go.
That's the dream. And then just eating from your bowl. Yeah, that's a dream. Also, what was a dream was our last episode, and was a little bit awkward because like on the day, right, when we released the episode, or like just a few days later, Microsoft changed a little bit like how we think about Copilot Studio, right?
There was a nice announcement. It was pretty good to see the announcement, because it was a nice video announcement. I think Ryan did the whole video demo, stuff like that. It felt like that there was quite a bit of good, although we'll get into maybe some of the annoying aspects of it, perhaps annoying inverted commas, but the way it was announced, the energy, I think it's also quite interesting. This has got to be, I think, the feature fastest to GA from public preview that I've seen ever. And of course, we're talking about a month, literally a month. And of course, we're talking about what we can now call the GitHub Copilot Harness experience in Copilot Studio. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? It's
yeah, so beautiful.
So basically, everything from our previous episodes had a date then, pretty much.
Oh no, so most of it is still true. So everything in terms of the license consumption, how Cowork works, how GitHub Copilot itself works. The only little thing that changes is that you now have two different experiences in Copilot Studio, and potentially the billing is a bit different. So maybe we start with that reconciliation part of our last episode, and then you can explain to the folks what the actual new experience is, and I can explain the hard part right now. What we told last week is essentially true. With Copilot Studio, you still have the classic interface, which is more of like a conversational agent, so a conversational structure. So this is as well still in the same consumption rate as before. It consumes Copilot credits unless your user, the end user, is an M365 Copilot licensed user, then this is within the license. So advice at this point, if you do need to create an agent that is a very chatty experience, potentially about some documents, some internal rules, or something where people need to reach out, and then there is a agent or multiple agents that sits there and provide information, you still want to go with the classic experience, because that chatty experience definitely sits good there. And as well, it still supports the topics feature, which is one of the features that didn't make the cut to the new GitHub Copilot Harness experience. On the new experience, the licensing looks a little bit different. So there, because it is built on the GitHub Copilot Harness, the general execution of agents will be consumption based. So it's pretty similar to Cowork, or more similar to Cowork, let's say it like this. Not like just every action you take, every step you make will consume credits at the point. The system, like what consumes credits, is a bit easier. So it's a bit easier to follow like how much the consumption is now. So in terms of, for example, estimation, I think it's a bit easier, while there's a bit more control over that. Still, the important thing is all the agents you have built so far, and the agents you built since the announcement of GA, which is like the 7th August or something, everything that was built till the 6th August will now be consumption free till I think 1st of September. And then this will be as well charged. Everything what you built right now today in the new experience will be charged right away. This also includes the creation of an agent. So before, in the classic experience, and this is maybe the biggest letdown at the point of being right now, that when I create a new agent in the new Copilot Studio experience, which is GitHub Copilot Harness. Harness is, by the way, the already word of AI
Harness.
word of
Harness.
harness.
Put some emphasis in it. Harness. Yeah, you can have some fun with it.
I really hate that word. But this new build agent, this will consume credits from the very first execution. So not from publish, no, not after publishing, how it was before. So that you build your agent, you test the agent, and you make adjustments, which is totally natural. No one of us builds just agent right away that works in the first try. You
do
go
you
there,
not?
test it.
I usually do. I mean, it's
I don't.
admittedly a bit hard. So yeah.
Okay, you may be very gifted in this agentic world.
You can
But
say, yeah.
so before it was that, like, after pressing publish, that will then consume credits if the situation appears that the end user is not M365 Copilot license. Right now it is the moment you click on create and you test your agent, this will consume credits. And this is like the biggest caveat of that, or like the biggest like letdown of the new experience, that like there is like a consumption cost for the makers, for the devs, for people just trying out what the new experience can do. So this is already like the most important point. And I have not seen in the license guide any exclusion for developer environments as well. So it is just in general, the moment this agent goes into testing, it doesn't need to have to be published. It will consume credits, it will cost, and you need to be aware of that before you build that or make this hardness decision.
So that's a huge box you've just dumped there. There's loads of stuff there to unpack. Let's just focus on a few little bits there. So you mentioned the word classic. Now, classic we usually use to talk about anything that's kind of old. What I think is kind of interesting when we're looking at the Learn articles, we're talking about it being the standard harness. And in fact, there's 3 harnesses that it mentions. It's the GitHub Copilot harness, the standard harness, which is what we sort of are used to there, and then we now got this concept of Git Copilot chat harness specifically for extending M365 Copilot. But I think it's interesting that they haven't used formally the words classic harness, because usually, well, in our world, classic, what does that usually mean when it's being used? It means
it's old.
It's old, and probably is going to be eventually for, like, the chop type thing. So, I mean, is it safe to build standard harness agents, do you think? Should we be telling people to do that?
No, so there is no official information, or as well, honestly, there's also no NDA information about that. So at the moment, it's still safe, and there's also no migration between your standard harness, as I just learned, to GitHub Copilot harness experience. So everything what you need to, what you already have built in the standard experience, let's not call it classic anymore, and you need to get it to the new experience, you need to rebuild that. But there's we can potentially put this in the show notes. There is a skill for that, basically, that can do it with GitHub Copilot. So you can use that skill and then just connect to Copilot Studio via the GitHub or the Visual Studio connector, and then just pull it from there and redeploy it with the skill. So
right, because these new agents are also stored as YAML definitions similar to the old style agents.
Yes.
Yeah. So you
we'll just interpret it and migrate to basically a new experience. So, but there is no button in Copilot Studio to click on and then, oh yeah, do this to the GitHub Copilot harness, please. So yeah, this is not there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for right now, it is not going away.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to. And because it still feels to me there's still going to need to be those scenarios where, okay, I need to have determinism. Deterministic is what I need in my life. I need to have full control over what my agent can sort of do. So that option is going to be there. So, I would say, I'm still maybe saying to people, okay, try and have a look at the GitHub Copilot harness over the standard harness. But yeah, I think we're still going to be probably talking about, well, both if not all three of them for quite some time now and into the future as well, perhaps.
I mean, definitely there, as mentioned, there are use cases to use the standard harness over the GitHub Copilot harness, which is very simple in terms of I want to have a conversational driven agent, and I want to have to live this in M365 Copilot or in Teams, and I have a bunch of licensed M365 Copilot users. So if this is your use case, I would 100% go with the standard harness. If I have something that anyways runs autonomously in the background, or is something that is part of a more complex model of multi-agent, or in terms of needs to do some action in the background in terms of updating the system or something, I would may think to go with the GitHub Copilot harness because it supports skills and memory and has some recent new features. And as you know, skills is maybe something that is all over the bubble in the past months and weeks. So meanwhile, I think with skills, everyone had some touch points so far, and you can just use those skills now in custom agents, which is great. And you can build a lot of automation based on your business processes, and you don't need to don't need to know coding in terms of having everything checked. You can just define it in skills perhaps, and give this to the agent.
Because what I think is also interesting in the article, they do like a bit of a table. We'll link to this in the show notes and stuff like that. But it talks about, like, as you say, skills and memory. Okay, yeah, GitHub Copilot harness supports that. But then for the standard harness and Copilot chat harness, it's kind of like this almost like come hither sort of teasing sort of language, like oh, not a focus, not a focus, as if to sort of say like, okay, maybe if you're good in the future. So I'm just wondering, is this perhaps maybe the biggest example of like testing in production that we've ever seen with this GitHub Copilot harness? Is this going to be still a thing in 6 months or a year time?
I don't think that is like something testing in production, because what we have seen on GitHub Copilot in the past is already quite good, and it's follows a good adoption, not only in our organization, but as well across multiple organizations. And GitHub Copilot actually works very, very well. It works very well with agents, with skills, with different models. So there is definitely, they have done something right in the GitHub/Microsoft headquarters here. And there's already a success story with GitHub Copilot. So why not learning from what they have done or how they have implemented, and why not have feature parity with, or for example, what happens on Foundry and what happens on GitHub. So there is definitely a need to at least try that. But the past success of GitHub Copilot gives them a huge favor, and I don't think it's like something like testing production. It's more like, oh yeah, from all the things we have done in the past 12 months or 24 months, this architecture has proven that works very good. So we know adapting this for other scenarios as well, and we need to change that. And it's better sooner than later to do this change before the whole world just runs on agents and the internet is just full of agents, and we're very, very close to the Terminator movies. So making this change right now is perhaps during the summer break.
Yeah, because nobody's working. We're all just asleep, aren't we? So
yeah. They could have just announced it during the World Cup and no one would have noticed it.
Exactly.
We would be still here on the same day talking about it.
But could it be GitHub Copilot saves Copilot Studio? Could we be saying that in 12 months' time? Now we go the meteoric rise of Copilot Studio above and beyond where it is now. Of course, we can basically thank GitHub Copilot for that.
You can definitely make the case because if we think back like 6 months or so, my impression of Copilot Studio was like, yeah, it's a nice tool to play around, but as soon as we received like real business cases and more complex scenarios and different kinds of user inputs where it's just not streamlined always the same prompt or always the same situation, we faced a lot of difficulties, not only in publishing but also in like maintaining the agent. And we had like very weird setups that we changed the whole architecture of like all the agents we built, which is now again obsolete, of course, but never mind. But like, well, and then I was like, I was saying, and I think you may hear it like in one of the first episodes or something, or at one of the conference sessions I did in the earlier this year, that like, okay, Copilot Studio is fine for like a certain case of situations, but if you think about more complex scenarios, you definitely want to go with Foundry. Today, I would may revise this and say, okay, you have a case of Copilot Studio now again, where you have a like a low code first approach when you can write skills, when you do have an idea how this works, with all of the MCPs and so connected, you would be able to create your more complex agent as well in Copilot Studio. Microsoft Foundry, of course, with the Microsoft Agent Framework or any other kind of frameworks, still sits there and is still getting like this super complex cases or code first approaches where we, for example, connect the agent code to a website or something like that.
So basically, what you basically said is you friend zone Copilot Studio. You're like, oh, you're really nice, you're really great, but I'm sorry, it's not you, it's not me. You friend zoned it. Fast forward 6 months, you sort of see Copilot
I'm
Studio
with the
coming to view
music
again.
box
You're
over
coming
my
to
head.
Copilot Studio view again, and you're sort of going, oh, hello. That's you, basically.
The glow up is real. I'm with the
glow up is
music
real,
box
yeah.
in the backyard of Copilot Studio and begging for my pardon. So yeah, the glow up is real.
Okay, well, I hope that you succeed in that in all of your endeavors. There is all I would say.
Definitely.
But let's talk about the final thing: build to create. It seems controversial, but I don't see, given the way the consumption costs are, I don't see how there could have been any other option at the moment for that. So it's kind of like it was a nice ride while it lasted, is what I'm saying, basically.
Well, yes, but also no.
Okay.
So on the one
Disagree.
side, so from a economical point of view, absolutely right decision to just like, okay, there are so many people running this on their dev environments. They potentially have all those numbers on like a very fancy dashboard, and then they say, okay, we need to bring this. We have so many costs and we have so many thousands of agents running in the context of a dev environment, or they're not published and they just consume messages during the creation phase. And this is a high cost for us. So from that point of view, it definitely makes sense. From my personal perspective and from like your maker perspective, or for someone, for example, very different breed, but doing workshops and trainings, this is a challenge now because suddenly everything what we do in a session or we do at a workshop, of course, this is just a very slow tier on the list of people consuming messages on the Power Platform, but this also now costs us money. So we will double down on like what are the scenarios and how complex they are potentially as well. If you want to just explore Copilot Studio, and this was already my critique on Cowork, you need to find your use case on Cowork, but to find that use case and to find that use case for the new Copilot Studio experience, you need to have a hands-on and try out. There is
It's
no
that whole
simulation to get there and then say, oh yeah, this is my perfect agent. This is not existing. So you need to have some hands-ons. You need to try. You need to excuse, pardon my French. You need to fuck around
and
till you
find out.
figure out.
Yes, of
Yes,
course,
exactly.
yes. It's a
Yes,
classic
and
thing. Yeah.
yes, and this is how it works with like new technology and new stuff that happens. And you can't do this without generating costs now. And how do you argue for this cost? We had like this month we had like one agent that consumed within 4 days 100,000 credits. If you're not aware of that, if you don't check the telemetrics on Power Platform Admin Center, which is a bit lacking right now in terms of availability, or for example, the Microsoft Admin Center with Agent 365, which is again a paid license, you potentially generate an invoice at the end of the month if you don't set up your limits that you don't want to see.
But Sebastian, you know how badly Microsoft are struggling. You saw the earnings report last year. You know, how can you morally be expected to take such a free ride moving forward? You know, you have to pay for this stuff. You know, Satya's children haven't eaten for many, many months now, I've been reliably told. So, you know, you have to pay now. That is just the way of the game.
Yeah,
But no, you have to pay. Speaking a bit more seriously, though, I just wonder whether there will be, and we've spoken about this kind of not on the podcast specifically, but whether there will be more of a push towards going local, because everything always feels kind of cyclical in everything to do with IT. You know, there was a whole demand, you know, back in the 80s. Okay, let's go to have these remote machines that we connect to, have these dummy terminals. Oh, let's all go back local again. Oh, let's all go back to the cloud and stuff like that. You know, with these rising costs and these large language models, you know, could it be a point when we start to see this run on our local machines? You know, are we just building and developing locally? Do we just build and test and develop our agents locally and then just get them onto these cloud platforms after the fact?
So that's a funny case, because I was just exploring last week's a lot of around using local models and deploying, and what are differences and what we can do, and how, for example, things do run. I would say not yet. Maybe for personal productivity, maybe in terms of like you have a local agent, or you have a local setup where you can just quickly chat with it, or something that runs locally on a machine that just considers things which are on your machine. Something like OpenClaw in that direction, and you kind of hook it up to messaging and to different MCPs. But still, the model needs to run as well locally. So it does not only have the need to have your agent locally deployed, but also in the model. And this is, I think, where it falls short still a little bit. There is I think you shared this. There is as well a model from Germany that is quite good for a local model. There are as well Gwen models, which are quite good. Google has their own breed of local models. I would as well, for example, would like to see some local models for Microsoft. Nvidia has them, so there's a wide variety of local models. But I think still, like, for that organizational wide rollout, or for this organizational wide use case, I think it's maybe still too early, and that whole hardware and infrastructure still costs that much. So that's also why we have that high cost prices, because all of these loud energy, water consuming data centers do consume so much energy and do cost that much to run. So it's not just that the costs of AI are that high that everyone earns a ton of money and builds up generational wealth, but also because of the infrastructure costs are that high. And you would need to carry out this costs by yourself now internally, and you need as well to be you are responsible for the uptime. You're responsible that everything is up to date. You're responsible that everything is maintained over the sake of time. So these are all factors you shouldn't ignore when we're talking about local. For personal productivity, I totally agree that this is definitely something to explore in terms of the own, if you like to do it, because there's definitely some barrier with the setup. But with Olama, for example, it's quite easy, and you still can, for example, there's something called the Hermes agent, which you can spin up to like a Telegram or something, and then you can chat with it, and I can respond to it. You don't need to go through the console or the terminal. So there's definitely options, and I think this is the models are good enough to do that for personal productivity.
Yeah, I'll link to the one that I sent you, made in Germany, Sufi S. a true Wunderwaffen, the best thing that Germany has done for quite some time, I'm sure. But yeah, it looks it's receiving. Well, let's see. Who knows? Maybe Germany saves the whole AI race. In terms of making it affordable, making it better. All this sort of good stuff. But yeah, this is, I think, where we're increasingly going now. I think in terms of because I think we're gonna reach a point where things are just going to break, in terms of consumption to costs, in terms of costs being too high, all this sort of stuff. I just feel like that we're going to hit a point where people just go, right, I'm not paying that. I still want to use it, so I'm just going to go local instead. I get maybe 50% maybe of the same sort of benefit, but I'm still able to manage my costs better. So
yeah, definitely worth exploring.
Indeed. So quite a week. What a week, or what a day between publishing episodes happens. Usually this is the time of the year where we can just sit back and relax and just not worry about anything sort of production breaking hitting our sort of news feed. So I have to say props to Microsoft in terms of just the way they approached the whole announcement, the way it was announced, the energy behind it. As I say, it's just crazy that the time from it being just public preview to GA is just phenomenal. I've never seen anything go through that sort of life cycle as fast before. It's astounding, you have to say.
Just nothing like project operations.
No, you're gonna be waiting 2 years for things there. I'm sorry.
No. But one more thing maybe at the end, Jeff. Maybe you should kindly explain the word harness, because this is not an AI wording.
Harness.
This is just harness.
Harness.
It is basically just a collection of different things that make it up together to like one thing. So if you think of agents, a harness is basically like all of the tools, triggers, skills, all of that combined is the harness with the agent together. There you can also apply this word to, for example, QA, so a test case, a test suite, or the scripts you run on your automation testing. This all is a harness. So I really don't get intimidated by this.
It's like a picnic basket, and inside the picnic basket, I've got my agent, my tools, my knowledge sources, maybe a nice little dessert for afterwards, so it's all just
so
nicely presented and lovely. So
so please don't get intimidated, because everyone knows says harness and you need to understand what it is,
harness,
and you have no ideas. So harness
you have to get the face right when you say it. Harness. Yeah.
It is basically, in old terms, we just call it a solution, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's nothing new. It's been there for a long time, and since I think the 80s or something. So it was just not used, and someone just thought, oh yeah, this is like a non-used word we didn't use a lot in the past decades. So let's call it now and make it very important in the age of AI. So
retro is the new vibe, So I'm all for this. Let's bring back all the great stuff from the 80s, all the great stuff from the 90s.
Yeah, so because retro is the vibe, also being offline is the new vibe, and therefore, thank you for listening. But now, please go back and touch some grass, and enjoy the summer. You're still here till we resolve this thing here. So thank you for listening.
I'm gonna go back to bed and see if that helps.
Go back to bed. How this goes. I will head down for breakfast, and therefore, thank you so much. New episode of Unresolved Dependencies every second Monday. And yeah, last words to Joe.
Keep on vibing, enjoy it, and I hope you really, really enjoy your new harness. Goodbye.